The Democratic Party is now split between the moderate Nancy Pelosi wing. Yes, I said that phrase, moderate Nancy Pelosi wing. And I say moderate not because she's a moderate, but because compared to the intersectional coalition about to take over the Democratic House, she's a quote-unquote moderate. And this is the battle, the intersectional coalition and Nancy Pelosi. There is a piece by the New York Times, Cheryl Gay Stolberg writing, "Meet the new House Democrats. They may not toe the party line." There is a former NFL linebacker, a climate scientist, and a rapper with a Harvard Law degree. There's one immigrant from Somalia and another from Ecuador. There are two former CIA officials, an Air Force veteran, a former Navy helicopter pilot, and a retired Marine commander, all of them women, not to mention a pediatrician and a human rights advocate. But these and other newly elected House Democrats arrive in Washington for their orientation this week. They will reflect the most diverse, most female freshman class in history. The class is ideologically diverse as well. And herein lies the problem for Democrats. We're going to get into that problem in just 1 second. So the big problem for Democrats is that their caucus is pretty fractious. Half their caucus realizes that there is severe danger in going too far to the left, that the Democrats who won, including Kyrsten Sinema in Arizona, who campaigned as much more of a moderate than she actually is. Right? She actually embraced the idea of sending troops down to the border, for example. She refused to come out in favor of other Democratic officials in her own state. And that's probably why she won in Arizona. The moderates won, but the radicals in the Democratic base are suggesting that they want more radicalism. More cowbell is the answer. Steve Phillips, making that case in the New York Times, says, do the math. Moderate Democrats will not win in 2020. He says, Andrew Gillum and Stacey Abrams, progressive African-American Democratic candidates, may not have won their races for governor in Florida and Georgia, but the strategy they followed is still the best strategy for Democrats to win, inspiring, mobilizing, and turning out voters of color and progressive whites. I've argued this strategy for years. In my 2016 book, I analyzed President Barack Obama's victories in the context of the country's changing demographics. The implications of the Gillum and Abrams races are profound, and learning the right lessons from 2018 is key for Democrats as they look ahead to the 2020 elections. He says, over the past 20 years, the best performing Democratic candidates in statewide elections in Florida and Georgia have been Mr. Obama, Mr. Gillum, and Ms. Abrams. This year, Ms. Abrams dramatically increased Democratic turnout, garnering more votes than any other Democrat running for any office in the history of Georgia. She did turn out heavy Democratic votes. She still lost in Georgia. If she'd been a moderate black Democrat in Georgia, then she probably would have won. She did not win because she was not, in fact, a moderate black Democrat, and she was unable to turn out enough suburban votes to bring her victory, even in an election where the Georgia 6th swung to the Democrats. So the Democrats are in danger of falling off a cliff with regard to their own radicalism. And that makes some sense. That makes some sense because the Democratic base is owned lock, stock, and barrel by the intersectional coalition built by Barack Obama. And this is a coalition built by the Obamas.